As the first member of my family to go to college, I have an appreciation for what so many of our students go through as the first members of their family to go to college. Some students have more challenges than others, and their courage, determination, and resilience can be a true inspiration for what they've had to overcome to accomplish their dreams. And today, I have the good fortune to interview one of those individual students who has overcome so much to achieve incredible things in their life coming through their experience at MVCC.
Talk with President Van Wagoner.
MVCC alumnus Ahmed Juma, welcome to Mohawk Valley Community College's Hawk Talk podcast. I am so excited you're here with me today. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. So let's get started. Could you tell me about where you were born and what it was like growing up for you?
Yes, thank you for having me for the podcast. I was born in Sudan. I had a visual impairment from a very young age. And at the time, my family, they were living on a farm and we were not close to the city. So I was not really able to attend any form of education until 2005. There was a civil war in the country. So that made my family and I fled to refugee camp. That was the only time that I had an opportunity really to attend schooling at a refugee camp, trying to learn Arabic.
And where was the refugee camp?
It was in Chad. It's closer to a city called Abashe, not in that city, but it's very close to that city. So it's in Chad.
Goodness. So living in a refugee camp in Chad with a visual impairment, trying to go to school as best you can there. And how long were you in the refugee camp?
I was in the refugee camp for 4 years. It was really hard. I was trying to make the best out of it. Really, at that point, they didn't have any way of educating someone who was blind. There was really no technology, nothing of that sort. And I had to use everything by memory. And at that point, really, I haven't really figured out a way to how to even read. So I couldn't read. I have to just listen to what people read and memorize what's being read to me. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, the challenge is an understatement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then how did you find your way to the United States?
My family, I had two other siblings also who were blind. So we had some of the refugee agencies, come to our families and they would speak to us and, they said, there might be a possibility of some kind of a cure for our visual impairment in the United States. There's a possibility. They said, you guys, are interested in coming to the United States. My parents specifically said, yes, if my children can get some kind of a cure for their visual impairment, then we are, willing to go to the United States and have them have their vision cured and have a better life than how we're living over there.
And through the refugee resettlement process, you came directly to Utica, New York?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, through the resettlement process, you have to go through a lot of interviews. Along the way, we spent almost half of a year just trying to get paperwork, documentation, everything set up to come to the United States in Utica. So we, made some stop obviously along the way. We stopped at JFK Airport and came to the Syracuse Airport. And then from there, Refugee Center here drove us here to Utica. And the worst part, well, not the worst part, but the interesting part was we came right in the middle of December.
Oh my goodness.
And we're used to the very dry environment, right? And then having to come here at a very, very cold, and we're not used to this kind of cold. And I remember it, being very cold. And
so cold.
My family, we had some cousins who were living here prior to us getting here. So they brought us some items of clothing, and I just still remember it was being very cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you resettled to Utica?
I was 13 years old.
13 years old.
Yeah.
And you went to school immediately, or?
My older siblings and younger siblings who were sighted, they, were able to go to school in March. And from December of 2009, I didn't go to school until almost to the end of April. I had a Braille teacher who was, even though at that point I was 14 years old, she was able to put me back in about 5th grade because she said, you didn't really speak English, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to put you in middle school at that point. And 6th grade was at a middle school back then. So she put me in 5th grade for the 2 months. And, I just, I didn't really speak any English. So really what I did was they tried to teach me how to use abacus, how to, add and subtract and so on using the abacus. And then along the way, I had a teacher. She would also try to teach me how to count money, coins. Which one is a quarter, which one, identifying them and counting them. So that was, I would say, that's my kind of first step of kind of learning the English.
Yeah. So you had to learn English and Braille.
Absolutely.
And all the ways of the United States. So you were in the Utica City School District. And
correct. Yes.
Graduated. How did you find your way to MVCC?
So I was in Proctor, and I heard about the BRIC program and the College Connection to my counselor, and I said, this might be a really good program to kind of get to college and get started on figuring out how college life is before actually I kind of just fully get into college. So I applied for the College Connection and got accepted into the College Connection program, and I did part-time at Proctor and part-time here.
While you were still in high school?
Yes, while I was still in high school. So kind of getting both the college credit and the Proctor credit at the same time as well.
And how? At what point did you know you wanted to pursue a college degree, and what degree you wanted?
So, what degree I wanted, I didn't really know too much about it, but I always knew I wanted to get some form of education. Being at MV kind of allowed me to kind of explore kind of what I wanted to. And I think I wanted to study political science, right? I said, I want to study political science. From the beginning, I said, I want to study political science. Mm-hmm. And, when I came here, the major that was related to public policy, political science, I studied was public policy, and it was very close to political science. So I was able to kind of study that when I came here.
And you took classes here for how many years before you graduated?
I think 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. 2 years, yeah.
Graduated on time in 2 years with your associate's degree in public policy.
Yes, yep.
And during your time at MVCC, is there a memory that stands out in particular? The memorable thing I have is everybody is receptive to ideas, meaning that they're willing to listen. If you have ideas, they're willing to listen. Just being here and kind of trying to learn the college process and also having a disability, I wasn't sure what to expect. So when I got here, everybody was friendly. The student body is a very good student body here, a good faculty and staff. So I found that to be a very good environment for me. Mm-hmm. And if I could just share a little about the Achieving the Dream Network, this will be followed by a question. But the Achieving the Dream Network, it's important for folks to know that it's a national network of roughly 500 community colleges around the country. MVCC has been a member since 2014. They have an annual conference that usually attracts close to 3,000 people. And every year they have a competition for community colleges to nominate one of their students to be selected as a Dream Scholar. And out of hundreds of applicants, students who are nominated, they select, I believe it's about 8 students each year. And to this day, you remain the only MVCC student who's ever been selected as a Dream Scholar. So what did that entail? What was your experience as a Dream Scholar with the Achieving the Dream Network?
I would also say that was also one of really my memorable accomplishments that also happened at MV. I would, say I was really humbled and honored to really receive the award. I was really humbled and honored. I'm generally, not really center of attention and everything, So I remember when I got the first couple of weeks we got to the California event, I remember, my picture was displayed in the academic building and everybody was congratulating. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was really humbled and honored, But at the same time, I'm not really, at the center of attention person, So, but it was really a great experience. And, I got to, attend the event in California, Long Beach, California, and spent a week there with everybody, with other Dream Scholars and everybody. I would say, one of the takeaways that I came away with that was that, they had a very much a student-centered approach, right? They, try to, make sure that students are part of the decision making. So I think that's one of the takeaways I got from the Achieving the Dream Scholar.
Yeah, so we flew out, we had about 10 of us from the college. We flew out to Long Beach, California to their national conference. As I said, it draws about 3,000 people. And one of the special parts that I think all of us who attend that conference each year, it's unique in that it has the Dream Scholars, and each day different Dream Scholars give a presentation. So you told your story on the podium with 3,000 people in this huge auditorium. What was that like? How did you prepare to speak to 3,000 people and tell your story?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of nervous, and, we kind of, tried to prepare and, and read and, kind of prepare. Once you get on the stage, then, it's flows better. But, before that, you don't really know what to expect. I was able to throw away my fear and kind of do it.
It was remarkable to witness. And Tamara from the Office of Accessibility Resources came along with us to kind of be at your side throughout, which was important because our return flight was different than most, where as I recall, we had another passenger on the plane had a cardiac event. They had to use all the oxygen tanks to help them as they rerouted us to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yep.
And we sat there in the Little Rock airport and missed our flight into Charlotte. Basically spent the night in the airport and redirected. We got new tickets to go to New Jersey, to Newark, got in the morning, and had to rent cars to drive home. It was not your typical travel experience.
No, it wasn't. I didn't actually expect it to turn out that way, obviously, because you can't really expect what could go wrong or what could happen. But at least we were able to work together,
get through
and figure it out and get through it. Yes, so that was the important part of it.
Well, your positive spirit and energy certainly added to helping everybody get through. So it was greatly appreciated.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was I think it was work of all of you guys working together to kind of figure out how we're going to get back,
Yeah. So you graduated from MVCC, and then what did you do after? What's happened since you graduated?
So
where did you go?
I graduated from MB, and I decided to attend University at Albany. And at the University at Albany, I got my bachelor's degree in political science. While being at the university over there, I did the first semester there, and then the second semester, I did the internship with the New York State Assembly, and the whole semester was a 15-credit semester, meaning that I got the whole semester credit for doing the internship. And then the following semester, unfortunately, we had COVID, so everything from then on, I actually did everything all online. So I didn't even get a chance to go back.
Wow! And you finished your bachelor's degree,
correct? Yeah.
And still kind of in the pandemic toward the. Opened up here a little bit, but after you graduated University of Albany, what have you done since? What did you do with that degree?
After I graduated the university, I applied for the position at the county to be a paralegal. So currently I work with Oneida County Attorney's Office as a paralegal, and my role is really to process the FOIL request. My job is to review those and send acknowledgement letters, and then after that, gather documents to send to the requester. So far, I've been doing that for 3 months so far from at the county attorney's office.
Very good. I saw you attend your first county board of legislators meeting, and I was absolutely thrilled to see you there, and then to learn that you're a paralegal in the county attorney's office. Couldn't be more happy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be there, and I was really excited to see you I didn't really expect to see you, but I was excited to see you at the board event.
And so as you look back, and just an incredible journey to think of your time born and raised in Sudan, refugee camp in Chad, coming to Utica as a refugee, and learning English and learning Braille, and finding your way through the public school system, and finding your way to MVCC. Looking back on your time at MVCC, and thinking back now in the time since. What does MVCC mean to you?
I think, MVCC really, for me, I think it's really opened doors for opportunities. Before even, coming to United States, I didn't really have any idea about how I was going to obtain an education. So I would say MVCC mean to me is that, they provide a quality education that in the future provide you with the quality opportunities to really go anywhere you want, really.
Very good. Well, Ahmed Juma, thank you so much for sharing your story. You are an absolute inspiration to all of us who work here. And thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Hawk Talk.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me for the podcast.
Hawk Talk with President Van Wagoner.